My name is Price Parker, and today we'll be talking about how there's good in the bad and bad in the good. Drug addiction. Very catastrophic in many families, very rampant across our country, and very defining to many. Whether you're affected by it directly, whether you have a family member or a friend affected by it, or you've just seen the effects of it. We all understand how catastrophic and severe drug addiction has become in our country. Recent research shows that 48 million people in the United States have admitted to using a prescription medicine for a non-medical related issue. Now, as casual and freelance as that may seem, just as like a, hey man, throw me an Adderall when studying for a big test, this is how things like drug addiction start. Just that kind of casual attitude about these things. I mean, drugs were created in order to help and fight off against diseases for us as humans. Medicine was used, it was a healing process rather than a recreational thing. Drug abuse now and drug addiction is something that we see all across our country. Over 53% of Americans have admitted to being affected by the drug addiction, whether it be with them or someone they know. Now, with statistics like this, what do we do about a problem like that? Well, drug addiction and what we know is somewhat hereditary, but a lot of it has to do with who you put yourself around. Now, for the longest time, we looked at drugs and associated with them with a lot of negativity. And it kind of just turned a blind eye on how hard addiction really is for some people. Drug addiction is more deadly than car crashes or protecting our freedom. I mean, you think you're more likely to die of a drug than protecting our country. I mean, you got guys fighting for you to be able to recreationally just do all these things. It doesn't make much sense, but it's so easy to fall into. And that's why it's such a growing problem in our country. Like I said, drug addiction doesn't start just kind of, you're not born a drug addict. Now, certainly there are factors and things that go into your body chemistry and your genetic makeup along like during the whole pregnating process. Things can affect you that way, but drug addiction has a lot to do with who you are and who you're around. Statistics show that being or living in a lower class lifestyle reflect a 38% higher probability of becoming a drug addict. Now, it's very upsetting and it's very difficult for a kid or someone in that setting to kind of go into life knowing that they have a disadvantage and that they know that drug addiction is something that's going to be influencing them or be around them, because your environment does have a lot to do with who you are. But being proactive about the situation and knowing what to stay away from goes a long way. Now, some of the drugs that can be and are so addicting in our country now are marijuana, and people kind of trivialize marijuana. There's a lot of good and a lot of bad. We're seeing recent research that's showing marijuana killing carcinogens and being used to treat things like epilepsy and seizures in medicinal states. And you also see people use marijuana to kind of pregame for other drugs. It's kind of a gateway drug in a sense. Another very popular drug and big problem right now, especially involving the fentanyl, is cocaine. Cocaine is one of the most rampant drugs and has been for the last 100 years. Heavily cocaine trafficking came about in the 70s and 80s in Miami, kind of got it popular in the southeast, and now we're definitely seeing the effects. There's a huge rise in rate in fentanyl. Fentanyl is an elephant tranquilizer and is strong enough to kill 150 men with a dose about as big as your pinky. So being around those things definitely isn't, anything entertaining, but just kind of putting yourself in that position and understanding the severity of what those things can do to you can kind of take it a far away. Because I understand, it's very easy to be in a social setting and think, okay, yeah, we're at a party, let's do this, let's do that. It's very easy, but that casual lifestyle and that casual mindset is what makes it so easy to fall into things like drug addiction.